Good morning. This is Father Stephen Kelly from St. John's Church in Detroit. We're continuing our series of daily morning meditations where we generally look at one or another lessons that are assigned for morning or evening prayer, what is known as the daily office lectionary. And today I thought we would jump back into our letter to the Hebrews. Remember, this is like St. Peter, it's a general epistle in the sense that it is written for general consumption, not written to a particular community, like so many of St. Paul's letters are. Those were written to the community in Corinth or Thessalonica or Ephesus or Galatia, dealing with particular questions and issues that they were having. Then those communities shared the letters with others because those particular answers, St. Paul's answers, were universal, right? What is universally true to solve a problem in Galatia is universally true about solving any sort of issue that you're dealing with in order to figure out how to live the faith. The letter to the Hebrews, of course, is a longer theological tome, dealing primarily with how Jesus Christ is the fulfillment of God's promise to send a Messiah, and therefore he now has not just fulfilled the promise, but he has now completed the original covenant and has brought to us a new covenant sealed in his own blood. So we are on chapter number 2, beginning at verse number 9. But we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he by the grace of God should taste death for every man. For it became him, for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through sufferings. For both he that sanctifieth and they who are sanctified are all of one, for which cause he is not ashamed to call them brethren, saying, I will declare thy name unto my brethren. In the midst of the church will I sing praise unto thee. And again, I will pour my trust in him. And again, behold, I and the children which God hath given me. Forasmuch then as the children are partakers of the flesh and blood, he also himself likewise took part of the same, that through death he might destroy him that had the power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver them who through fear of death were all their lifetime subject to bondage. For verily he took not on him the nature of angels, but he took on him the seed of Abraham. Wherefore in all things it behooved him to be made like unto his brethren, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people. For in that he himself hath suffered being tempted, he is able also to succor them that are tempted. So the letter writer to the Hebrews is really just building up this wonderful case for why Jesus Christ had to take human flesh. We know that he is the second person of the Holy Trinity. We know that he is God himself, right? He's God, but he's God incarnate. In other words, he didn't take the form of an angel to come down to earth. He took human flesh, the seed of Abraham, right? He's a descendant of those who are members of the original covenant. Right? So he is fulfilling the promise of God by becoming one of us in order to pay the price for our sins. And because he has flesh and blood, he is able to understand what temptation is like. We know the great story of the temptation in the wilderness, but all throughout his whole human life, he would certainly be tempted to sin. Now, of course, we know that Jesus Christ was without sin because he is God. God cannot sin. So we know that he would not have given into temptation. But he knows what temptation is about, right? And so using this structure of what we call the high priest, right? The high priest is the one who offers the sacrifice for sin in the temple. Jesus becomes the ultimate high priest because he's not only doing something theological like the high priest in the temple, right? In offering the animal sacrifices. Jesus, as the great high priest, is able to offer that one sufficient sacrifice once offered for the sin of the world, right? That's right out of our Eucharistic canon. So, wherefore, in all things it behooveth him to be made like unto his brethren, like he made like unto us, that he might be a merciful and faithful high priest in things pertaining to God, to make reconciliation for the sins of the people. So that's why Jesus Christ came to earth. That's why Jesus Christ suffered on the cross. He died on the cross for our sins, not for some sort of political activity, not as some sort of tragedy of political action, or for himself to make a political statement, right? We're projecting our own political agenda onto Jesus when we say those sort of things. He went to the cross. He died on the cross for our sins. And he rose again for our salvation. Full stop, right? Period. Right? There's no other reason why that happened. But it's all the reason we need. All the reason in the world. It is the good news of our salvation. Now, today's Wednesday. We do have Holy Communion today, 12:15, evening prayer at 5 o'clock. Tomorrow, Holy Communion at 10:30 with benediction afterwards, and evening prayer at 5 o'clock. I hope you can join us for some weekday worship, whether you do so in person. We'd love to have you here. Or you join us online at stjohnsdetroit.org. And I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday. May God bless you.